let's do it a little differently today. First, we play out a full video to just show you what really is happening around you, viewers. Let's play this video out for them.
बंद अब इसे खड़ा होने दो हाँ इसे खड़ा होने देना चालू मत करना क्या हो गया चाचा क्या हो गया बैटरी खत्म हो गई बंद अब इसे खड़ा होने दो हाँ इसे खड़ा होने देना चालू मत करना क्या हो गया चाचा क्या हो गया बैटरी खत्म हो गई
Now viewers, this is not just any other viral video. This is clearly an example of how an app can stop an e-rickshaw, and this may look like a prank online, but on road it hits the poorest first. For a daily wage driver, one stalled ride means lost income, angry passengers, wasted battery time and fear of not taking enough money home. And this is an EV safety story, a cyber security story and a livelihood story as well, all in one, because this app is not magic. It connects through Bluetooth to certain lithium battery management systems, and if the battery system is unsecured, like in the case of the e-rickshaw that we just showed you and has no password, someone nearby can access it and cut the battery discharge. In simple words, the motor stops getting power, the vehicle stops, the driver may not even know why, because for someone driving all day to earn just a few hundred rupees, this is not funny, this is a livelihood disruption. The panic must be explained very, very clearly, because this does not mean that every EV on Indian roads can be stopped by a phone or an app like this. The risk is very specific. It affects vehicles using compatible Bluetooth-enabled lithium batteries where the BMS is left open or unsecured. But that does not reduce the seriousness of this, because the people most exposed are often the ones who cannot afford premium batteries, proper service checks or even technical support. And this is where India's EV dream, viewers, also faces a serious ground test. Clean mobility cannot be built on unsafe technology. If dealers sell batteries without basic password protection, if manufacturers ignore security, and if drivers are never told how to lock their systems, the poorest road users pay the price. And the EV revolution must protect the man who bought an e-rickshaw to feed his family. And to help us understand what really is happening on our roads, we have Vikram Kaur joining us on this broadcast. A very good evening, sir. How do you look at, these pranksters, trying to prank e-rickshaw drivers? But, although many say this as a prank, but this clearly goes on to expose the vulnerabilities of some of the BMS that is equipped on EVs on our roads.
Yeah, I mean, we got to understand how the EV setup is done. So you've got the battery pack, in this case, the lithium-ion batteries. Then you've got the battery management system, which obviously monitors battery usage and how the electric power is sent to the motors to be utilized. Now, if we just step back from the current situation and we look at the EVs, like our cars that are on the road, or even the high-end bikes that are out there, there is multiple layers of security that is built into the entire management system. I recall reading about this somewhere where they called it the onion. So it's multiple layers of security so that your vehicle cannot get hacked. Now, these e-rickshaws, sadly, they're just very basic machines. They're obviously not coming in with a lot of tech. And I think that having that Bluetooth-enabled BMS was there for a simple reason for the rickshaw driver to actually check in on his motor and, the battery manage it through his app. Now, obviously, by creating a hack to it, being able to connect via Bluetooth, this would be more of a simple two-step verification process as security for such a system. And in most cases, people don't set it up. So only an unsecured BMS would have been hacked, which is what is demonstrated in this reel. And yes, it is definitely a concern, but something that has to be looked into very strongly.
Right. We also have Mr. Lalit Baid, founder and CEO of Suyo, joining us live on this broadcast. Mr. Baid, often to cut costs, your batteries and your, electric vehicle requirements, all of those components are often compromised. And this clearly goes on to show how exposed, these low-cost EVs really are on Indian roads or anywhere in the world, because one simple app, one touch of a button, you just connect it and disconnect it. The driver doesn't even know what really happened.
So, as the guest, has already informed you that there are many layers of the security which are normally built in on any of the vehicle which are being made by the reputed OEMs like Tata, Maruti, and all that. However, there is a concern in this three-wheeler segment, and where if you would see many of the states and cities are also banning them in particular roads, and because of behavior of drivers, and they're moving on the wrong side. So this industry is very unorganized, and there are at least more than 500 manufacturers are there, and their basic aim is to sell as low as possible. And all of these things are being dumped by China, unfortunately. So all of these BMSs are very basic BMS, which can be easily connected with the Bluetooth. Anyone can connect with the Bluetooth, and they can hack the device. However, if you go to the bigger vehicles, so all the BMS, all the other components are properly wired. That's a basic, way of doing the connection of any vehicle. And that's how the vehicles are more secured. And of course, on top of that, there are many software layers, password protection, and there are many other things by which it is not so very easy to do the hacking. So yes, the more and more regulations must come in this space of three-wheeler, and they should be bounded by buying something which is made in India. That will also increase the overall exposure towards making in India for any of the vehicle which is happening in India, right? So yeah, in fact, the Delhi policy, EV policy, which has come up very recently. So if you would have seen, they have connected this with PME Drive, and PME Drive is talking about the localization of each and every component within India. So that's a very welcome step. And I hope that, by having all these policies and government checks and balances, more and more regulation will come into this space, and we'll see less and less such kind of incidents.
But Mr. Gaur, do you think that this is like the first major challenge, cyber security challenge for India's EV dream? Although it might have happened on the very, minuscule scale, this could happen to even high-tech EVs.
So this has happened at the unorganized sector level. These EVs, as Sir rightly pointed out, they're manufactured, again, 500 different manufacturers. These are fly-by-night. This is basically the EV version of the Desi Jugaad, where someone's building it in their backyard, literally. When we look at high-end EVs, whether we look at three-wheelers even, Mahindra's Electric is building three-wheelers, TVS is building three-wheelers, right? And the Bajaj is building three-wheelers that are electric. And obviously, they're conforming to norms. They have to stick to certain amount of regulations when they build a product and a vehicle. And for them, security is one of those layers. So I don't think it is a threat. With the four-wheeler segment, I doubt you would have to get like an expert hacker who would have to get through the engine management system, the multiple ECUs on board, and then find the BMS and then be able to crack into that and then do something. You're not going to do it sitting on a bike following an electric car and just stop it. That's not going to happen.
Mr. Baid, can you explain to us how really does this really happen? Is there a vulnerability in the battery management system or the make of this particular setup that's available for these cheap e-rickshaws? Where does the fault really lie, and what are the loopholes, and what are the protocols that can be brought in as far as these low cost e-rickshaws are concerned?
To see the basic connection of is there in this BMS. So what they are doing is that it is only getting connected with your mobile phone. So you can see all the battery, the charging, discharging, what is happening. You can see it on your mobile. That is what is the feature which these e-rickshaw manufacturer battery guys are trying to give it to the driver. However, if we see, I mean, it's a very novel way of giving these things to the driver. But at the same time, if we have to increase the layer of complexity, so the very first thing is remove the battery and put it in a wired connection. So if there is a wired connection, then of course it's like Android Auto or Apple Car. It will only work, normally it only works when you connect it with your car wired, you put it in USB and then only it works. So in that way, it's not so very easy to connect with your car. You are sitting in the car, connected your mobile. That's how it works. But in e-rickshaw, because of the cost and as I said, it's an unorganized market. So they wanted to give it as a feature. However, it backfired because there are loopholes in this, as it is not even asking the password. So it's a basic connection. You have to build a layer of program wherein if you want to connect it, there has to be a OTP, or let's say that something is flashed on your screen and then you are pairing it with. But it's a basic 00000. And as you understand, I hope. So
Yeah.
that way, these things are working. So of course, it's not a very big threat. Definitely, norms has to bring in. But yes, the cyber threat is always real, and as we see, the world is moving more towards cyber war and e-war rather than actual war. So it's a glimpse of that. I would say it's a major movement of Israel
Israel.
versus
I
Iran
was
war in
just
India.
discussing this with my colleagues this afternoon, but then we realized that it is not at such a huge scale. But even
Correct.
at such small scale, Mr. Gaur, do you think that
Yes.
such videos going viral could probably hurt public confidence in EVs? Do you think that could happen?
100%. We live in the digital age. We live in the age where one video can make or break you,
Yeah.
and this is just one of those sensationalized videos that has actually taken the market by storm. And yeah, we've seen it happen with people's reputations. We've seen it happen with manufacturers' reputations. We've seen it happen now at this level as well. But I think that this is a one-off case. Of course, the government should take notice, and what we need is also regulatory norms for this segment of manufacturing as well. So that would really, it might jack up the price a little bit, but then you're using it to earn money. And, it's not the absolute cost of the vehicle that matters so much. It is your daily running and how much you can actually bill per day, where you would actually get your return, your ROI. So I would say that, even if it goes up by 15, 20,000 rupees and a security system can be put in place, it would actually be more beneficial for them.
That's right. And Mr. Baid, although Mr. Gaur says that this is a one-off incident, I think that this is just the beginning of, such anti-EV apps coming into the picture. But as far as, the big vehicles are concerned, do you think that, it's easier to hack into an EV than a normal vehicle? Because, when you're trying to, get into or break into a vehicle, then people actually see you trying to shatter the window. But all of this happens on the back end. When we're looking at a future of electric vehicles, the back end must be protected.
See, no, it's certainly very much restricted to this low cost three-wheeler, and perhaps there could be some low cost two-wheeler as well, where the kits are being imported and people are trying to assemble it. So it's like again mom and pop shops running at the backyard, doing all this and selling it to the customers. However, I'm like pretty confident because being a background from automotive, I can certainly say that all the automotive OEM manufacturers, original OEM manufacturers like Tata, Maruti, Hyundai, all of these guys are very, very much responsible. They take care of very, very small things, while building a vehicle. They always have a factor of safety, not only on the mechanical and electrical side, but also towards the security side. They're always concerned about the end consumer. And of course, as a big OEM, big manufacturer, they are always answerable towards the government and other factors, right? They are not, I would say, not even any company in India is an Indian company anymore in OEM space. They all are global companies, right? So they cannot afford to have such kind of things. There is a deep manufacturing expertise and which is there behind any of the vehicle which you are seeing, whether it be Tatas or Mahindras or Marutis. So yes, it is very much restricted to these whatever is being imported from certain country for certain vehicles in a low cost modules. So yes, we should have very strong norms so that even these vehicles can be far more secure than what it is right now.
Mr. Gaur, I want to take closing remarks from you because there are some EV users also watching, this particular show, and they might not understand understand the fact that it has happened on the most, minor scale, and this would not happen to their vehicle. So what What advice would you give them, and what would you like to, tell them in light of such incidents rising around them?
Yes. Firstly, the example over here was about shutting down an EV. Now, when you can get into a BMS, right, you could actually trigger a number of different features. For example, even if you were to hack into it and sort of mess with the temperature management, it could have gone up in flames. So there is that element of safety that is also that needs to be looked into at this level. But coming back to the question that you've posed, with the higher end EVs, when we're looking at even two-wheelers, whether we look at companies like, again, Bajaj has the Chetak line, which is their electric, Ultraviolet does their electric motorcycles, Hero has stepped into it with Vida, and then you've got the car manufacturers, so your Tata Mahindras of the world. And all of them have to comply with a level of safety that is, that is now at a global level. It's not just an India level, right? These products are definitely stepping towards more of being, global products. So you need to comply with a lot of safety features there. And cyber security is something that they've been looking into for a very long time. There was a study done a while ago where even they got some hackers to actually try and hack a Tesla. I think it was out in the US. And after a lot of hard work, they were able to trigger the brakes on the Tesla. They still didn't get into the center console. Like, they didn't get into everything, but they were able to hit the brakes on that vehicle. But that was a test done by Tesla, and where they employed hackers to show them that it can be done. But it took an arm and a leg. And obviously that was done to sort of step up security even more. So I would
And
say
all of that,
that
and all of that is usually done on, supercomputers, which I don't think, some small
you're not
time
doing it from a
hackers.
mobile phone and a
Yeah,
Bluetooth app.
that's right. So you're saying that bottom line is that EV users need not be worried. It's the
You don't need to
e-rickshaws
worry.
that are vulnerable, not the big cars.